All right, I want to talk about this, the Sabian XS20. This is a 20-inch medium ride. It is a discontinued cymbal. This is one that I rave about as an upgrade, as an affordable upgrade for beginners or intermediate players who are looking to move out of sort of starter grade, even name brand starter grade, such as the Zildjian Planet Z or the Zildjian ZBT, Sabian B8. What this cymbal offers, because I would contend that this is much more similar in its sound and in its character to sort of base model professional grade cymbals like the Zildjian A and the Sabian AA. General quick primer, most beginner cymbals are made of either sheet brass, like the Planet Z or the Zildjian Planet Z, or B8 bronze, which is 92% copper alloy of bronze, similar to a penny. And so that would be like the Zildjian ZBT or Sabian B8 models. This, on the other hand, is made of B20 bronze, which is 80% copper. And B20 bronze is the same alloy that is used for professional grade cymbals, whether it's the Zildjian A's and Zildjian K's or Sabian AA's and HH models. They all use the same, basically the same alloy or slight variants of the same alloy. So that in and of itself ought to suggest what I contend is true, which is this is actually a better quality cymbal by far. But it tends to be viewed as a starter cymbal and priced accordingly in the used market. So this is often available for much, much less as a used cymbal than these are. So what I'm going to do real quick is a couple of quick shootouts to prove that point. First off, this is a Zildjian Planet Z, which is a sheet brass cymbal. This is a Zildjian ZBT, which is B8 bronze. Then I've got these three. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play these two, and I'm going to turn the video off and play one of these. So you can just get that baseline sense that indeed B20 is a better neighborhood than B8 or sheet brass. Then what I'm going to do is compare these three with the camera off, a blind taste test if you will. I'll play these in some order, and then I'll divulge the order, and I'll go through all five of them again one more time, say a couple more things that I like about the XS20, and that'll be that. So if you are a beginner or an intermediate player looking for an upgrade, or if you're somebody who has a house kit to maintain, or like what I will often use this cymbal for is as an inexpensive cymbal I can have in a bag when I'm going to have to share cymbals on a kit with another drummer who I don't know, where I know I'm going to get a good experience, but it's not my precious babies, it's not my super thin favorite cymbals, but it's something where I know I'm going to get a good sound out of these, but were something to happen, I could find an inexpensive replacement without too much fuss. So away we go. First off, these two versus one of these. Okay, so that's a sort of baseline. Hopefully you agree that B20 is a nicer material to make a ride cymbal out of. Now let's compare in some mystery order the XS20 with a Sabian AA and a Zildjian A. These are close to each other in their relative weights. I think they're within 50 to 100 grams of each other. Just for posterity, this Zildjian is the heaviest of them, I think, and then this Sabian AA is the lightest of them. This is something like 2450 grams, 2500, maybe 2550, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to play them in some random order, and then I'll divulge the order. Here we go. Okay, so this was the order. First I played the Sabian AA. Then I played the XS20. And then I played the Zildjian A. Okay, so a couple observations. First, none of these cymbals is particularly crashable. Like, none of them is great. And I'm a little spoiled. I love playing an Omni as my primary ride cymbal that I normally take to gigs, and it is the most crashable ride cymbal I've ever played. And all sizes of the Omni are fantastic four-tool rides with a great bell, a great riding surface, a secondary riding surface, that's the fourth tool, and an incredible paper-thin crashable edge. That said, most ride cymbals are not very crashable. Most modern ride cymbals are not very crashable, and I actually think the XS20 is the most crashable of this bunch. It's a little close. This Zildjian is not bad, but the XS20 I think is a little bit better as a crash. Neither is fantastic, but if I had to like do a roundhouse fill and hit one of them, I'd rather hit that one. I think that the nicest voice among these is the Sabian. It may just be personal preference, but as far as the riding surface goes, there's a lot going on there. Some nice overtones, some nice. There's a lot of complexity to it. But this is nice and dark. So you can't probably tell this from looking, but I will say the one downside of the XS20, the one thing that I would caution is that the bell presents a very small target compared to the normal profile of a bell. I don't know if that's part of why it's so crashable, but I find, I'm fairly precise and I look where I'm playing mostly, so for me it is not a problem to find and strike that bell, but it is something to get used to about it. If you're somebody who, and I've always strike the bell with the flat of the stick, which maximizes some power there. It's something you have to be aware of with this cymbal. But bottom line, I stand by my original assertion that the XS20, as far as like bang for the buck, upgrading a cymbal for a beginner intermediate player, it's probably, I think it's best in class for the used market for sure. And if you're wondering about upgrading cymbals on your beginner kit, I actually would say your ride cymbal is the first one that you want to upgrade. Hats, even decent B8 hats, the step up from decent B8 hats to decent B20 hats is not as great a leap as the step between a decent B8 ride and a decent B20 ride. And the XS20 is definitely a decent B20 ride. That's a voice that is really important to your kit. It's really important to the character of your playing. It sounds much better on recording to play a nice B20 ride. So I definitely recommend the XS20 as an upgrade to any beginner, intermediate, or somebody who is maintaining a house kit. So I know I said a bunch of the same stuff over and over again, but honestly, this was the best take of all of them. So we're just going to go with it, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this shootout, and if you have some comments or something else you'd like to see me compare, leave them in the comments below, and take it easy. Have a great one.